First, I will tell you something that you must remember. You cannot sit down and get God to do your will. You cannot make Spirit the instrument of your personal plans. God is not a lever, nor a law that you may push and pull. Stop trying to recruit the infinite to your project list. Stop it. All the pleading, all the bargaining, if I do this practice, will you do that thing, is not prayer. It is commerce, and there is no commerce in God. You have dressed the old error in modern clothes and called it manifesting. You have taken affirmation and visualization and tried to turn them into a vending machine. Insert your thoughts, press your desire, wait for the prize to drop. That is not prayer. That is not grace. You are still saying, I, me, mine. You are still believing there is a way to use God. There is not. Stop chasing God. Let God catch up to you. Relax. Relax. Those of you who still carry a fear, a lack, a body condition, a strain in the home or office, listen carefully. If it persists, it is not because God has failed you, nor because God is unmoved by your plight. It may be because your very effort is the block. Search yourself. Have you been striving? Are you bargaining? Are you tightening when you sit to pray? Are you promising God good behavior in exchange for a result? Ask yourself. Be honest. The binding is not out there. The binding is in your mind. Here is the antithesis that governs our entire work. You cannot bring God to you, but you can bring yourself to God. You cannot persuade the infinite to rearrange its order for your schedule, but you can enter its order by stillness and surrender. God is already being God. Be still and know that I am God. Not be frantic, not be clever. Be still. Stop. Relax. Breathe without grasping. Lay down the picture, the plan, the timetable. Your business is readiness. Your part is to become a place of receptivity, not a machine of demands. And I would reassure you, God is not offended. God is not withholding. God, who causes sun to shine on just and unjust, is no respecter of persons, and is not waiting for you to say the right sentence before bestowing favor. My peace I give unto you. It is a gift, not a wage. The gift is here whether you strain or do not strain. The absence you feel is not in God. It is in the bargaining mind that cannot receive. So end, this instant, the bargain-making prayer. Nevermore treat the holy as a servant to your thought. Quiet yourself. Let the fever go out of your wanting. Bring yourself to God, into still, obedient attunement, and you will find that grace was present, patient, already flowing, awaiting only your release of I, me, mine. Be still, be at peace, and let God be God. Now we must plant the foundation so deeply that you cannot be shaken from it when the next wind blows. God will not move out of its orbit for you, for me, for saint or sinner, for the just or the unjust. I am the Lord, I change not. Do you hear it? No pleading, no flattery, no frantic recitation of sacred words can bribe the infinite into a private exception. Spirit is not variable. It is not favor for some and famine for others. It is law, unbroken order, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Stop asking for special motion. Stop looking for God to step outside of God. What then moves? Your consciousness moves. Your receptivity moves. Your willingness to be governed. This is the moving point. God is already being God. The light is shining. Your business is not to create the sun, not to push it higher in the sky, but to open the shutters. And you open them not by might, not by power, not by one more mental gear, but by spirit, by relaxation, by surrender, by obedience to what already is. Be still and know. Not be clever and demand. Be still. Search yourself here, for there is a hidden arrogance inside the very strain you have been calling spirituality. Have you believed that your intensity is power? That your long prayers, your multiplied words, your fierce affirmations can shove the infinite into your program? Have you supposed that God is listening for the decibels of your effort? That is the arm of flesh. That is the conceit of the anxious mind. Stop it. Loosen. Let the fever of self-importance drain away. You do not move God. You let God move you. And when your manifesting fails, when the picture does not appear on your timetable, do not indict God. Do not say, "Where is God?" Say instead, "Where am I tightening? Where am I clutching? Where am I finitizing the infinite into my little sketch?" Every disappointment that comes out of bargaining and pushing is not evidence of absence. It is evidence of resistance. It is the knock at your own door saying, "Release, release." Return to presence, not to pictures. Return to law, not to leverage. So let the great correction take root. God remains whole. God remains fullness. God remains life, love, wisdom, impartial, and ever-present. If that is so, and it is, then your next inquiry is not, "How do I get?" but "What in me is not letting? What in me is resisting grace? Where am I refusing forgiveness? Where have I set up a private rule against divine government?" Ask it now. Ask it gently. And as you ask, relax. Relax. Every sense of strain leaves the body as you accept the immutability of God and the mutability of your own stance. This is the pivot. This is the quiet turn. God will not move out of its orbit. Let your consciousness move into it. Be still and let. Be obedient and let. And the law that never shifted will reveal itself as peace that never left. Now let us be very practical, very honest. The sign that you are in error is simple and unmistakable. The body tightens, the breath shallows, the mind rushes, and the prayer becomes a negotiation. You feel a clock ticking in you and a pressure to get somewhere, to get something. That is the arm of flesh trying to do spirit's work. That is not devotion. That is distrust. When you feel that clutch, you are not moving toward God. You are grinding the gears of the mind. Stop. Rest. Loosen. Relax. Relax. Be still. Do not confuse spiritual stillness with a mental method. You cannot use the mind to get God. The mind cannot climb into infinity by willpower, any more than a ladder can reach the stars. Every technique that tightens you is just the old self painting itself as holy industry. Ask yourself, am I hurrying my prayer? Am I measuring results while I pray? Am I composing a speech to convince God? Am I trying to feel spiritual rather than letting God be God? If so, put down the tools. Not by might nor by power, but by spirit. Be still and know. Underneath the gear whir is a small engine that says, I, me, mine. It is trying to acquire, to control, to secure, to prove. It wants to prove worth by outcome, safety by possession, righteousness by victory. It centers a person on a throne and calls that throne prayer. That is why it strains, because it believes it is alone and must accomplish. It believes supply is scarce, time is short, enemies are many, and God must be managed. That is the ignorance. That is the fear. That is the chain. The effort that promised your freedom has become your bondage. Your affirmations, your visualizations, if they tighten you, they are only another brand of clutch. They are the mind fastening its fingers around an image and calling it faith. Do you see how small the circle becomes? Do you see how the infinite is reduced to a schedule, to a diagram, to a private rescue? Do you feel how the shoulders come up, how the jaw sets? This is not holiness. This is the alarm. Stop. Rest. Loosen. Relax. Relax. Be still. And here is the mercy. Once you see the clutch, you can release it. The binding was never outside. It was in the grasp. Let the grasp open. Let the breath lengthen. Let the room grow quiet. Say within yourself, Father, I release the arm of flesh. I release I, me, mine. Reveal thyself. Then wait without bargaining. Wait without image. Wait without hurry. My peace I give unto you, not earned, not engineered, a gift. As the clutch softens, grace appears, first as quiet, then as clarity, then as provision that needs no pushing. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Be still, and let liberty find you. Now we must put our hand on another quiet error. You have been finitizing God. I call it that because it is the act of taking the infinite and forcing it into a picture, a number, a date on a calendar, a body reading, a face, a door labeled My Opportunity. You say, let it be this job, this person, this sum by Friday, this remedy in this way. That is not prayer. That is making an idol and asking God to climb inside it. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. A picture, even a beautiful one, becomes another God the minute you say it must be that and nothing else. Search yourself. Have you fixed a number for your supply? A diagnosis to be reversed by a certain method? A particular person who must repent or return? A door that must open in the building you have already chosen? Have you sentenced God to your plan and then called that faith? The moment you insist upon the finite picture, you have shrunk God in your consciousness. Not God. God remains infinite. You have narrowed your window until even the morning sun seems a thread of light. Stop. Put down the blueprint. Relax. Be still. Manifesting easily slips into idol-making. You polish the picture, you praise the picture, you bow to the picture, and then you measure God by the picture's arrival. That is worship of concept, not presence. It is safer to have no picture at all than to enthrone a small one and call it divine. Release it. Release it now. Let your prayer be, Father, reveal thyself. Govern. Use me. Let thy will be done in me. Not give me this, but be thyself as my very life. Not come by Tuesday, but be the law of this hour. Do you feel the difference? One tightens, the other loosens. One commands, the other yields. You cannot outline for God the way, but you can consent to the way. You cannot instruct the infinite, but you can bow to it. Not by might, nor by power, but by spirit. Be still and know that I am God. When the outline drops, grace is free to take form as wisdom you had not imagined, as correction you had been avoiding, as provision that doesn't flatter the ego, but feeds the heart. Sometimes the good appears as a release from what you insisted on, sometimes as the courage to walk through a door you did not draw, sometimes as the peace to wait and the honesty to repair. Do not finitize God into your drawing. Let God interpret God in you. And as the picture falls away, your heart becomes available for attunement. You will hear the gentle law you could not hear over the rustle of your plans. Forgive here. Return that. Bless there. Speak truth. Stop fearing. Stop grasping. This is atonement, at-one-ment, alignment with what is already divine order. Seek first the kingdom, not the picture, and all these things are added as the overflow of presence, never as the wages of your sketch. Relax. Loosen the demand. Take no thought for the image. Rest in the presence that is no respecter of persons, and no prisoner of your plan. Be still and let the infinite be infinite in you. Now we come to the spiritual demand you may be avoiding. Not a punishment, a demand. Not a scold, a law. Search yourself. Are you fulfilling it? Are you forgiving, or are you saving a little corner for resentment? Are you harboring a record of wrongs to be consulted when it is useful? Are you cheating in small ways? A white lie here, a shortcut there, a quiet keeping of what you meant to return? Are you fearing the future, forecasting harm, borrowing trouble? Ask it plainly. Ask it now. And as you ask, loosen. Relax. Be still. Persistent trouble is not a verdict from an angry God. It is often a symptom that you are holding yourself outside of harmony. God has not moved. The law has not broken. But a mind entertaining condemnation, superiority, or secret fear stands at the edge of the stream and complains of thirst while refusing to step in. That is what I mean when I say outside. You cannot be punished by love. You can only be pinched by your distance from love. The kink is in the hose, not in the spring. Unkink it. Let the flow return. Be still. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. That is not poetry. It is a door. It swings both ways, or it will not swing at all. You cannot ask for grace and keep hatred warm. You cannot ask for peace and run an inner courtroom that never closes. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Bless them that curse you. Put up thy sword. Are we doing that? Have you blessed the one who wronged you, really blessed, not politely tolerated? Have you returned what is not yours, money, credit, attention taken by cleverness? Have you made the amends you know to make? The phone call you have postponed? The apology you have rehearsed but refused to deliver? This is not morality for display. This is alignment. This is clearing the channel so what is already true may be realized as your experience. Obedience here is not an achievement to impress God. It is the simple yes that removes the obstruction. My peace I give unto you. The giving is constant. But if resentment is barricading the heart, if fear is barricading the chest, if superiority is barricading the mind, the gift has no landing. Release the barricade. Do not strain to be good. Consent to the good already present. Thy law is within my heart. Let it govern. Let it correct without shame, instruct without drama, restore without delay. Stop the self-improvement campaign. Begin the surrender to order. Relax. Relax. Be still. And to fear, speak directly. Take no thought for the morrow. Are you doing that? Or are you running ahead, budgeting nightmares and calling it prudence? Fear is disobedience to trust. It is worship offered to a future without God. Withdraw the worship. Return to presence. Breathe. Let today be sufficient. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not tomorrow, here. Be still, and let liberty be here. When the inner house is cleaned, debts forgiven, fears released, small dishonesties corrected, you will notice how quiet your wanting becomes. The gears stop grinding. You feel that wide, gentle space where prayer no longer begs, it yields. And there, at that threshold, the next step is inevitable. Not the old will urging God, but the heart's renunciation that ends the campaign of I, me, mine. Prepare yourself. Let the last argument lay down its arms. In the stillness that obedience has opened, surrender will have words, and they will not be yours. Relax. Be still. Let God be God in you. Now let us cross the threshold. There is a sentence that ends the long campaign of I, me, mine, and it must be spoken with finality. Never more will you ask God to do your will. Never more will you dictate terms to the infinite. Never more will you bargain, bribe, plead, outline, or finitize. Never more will you present your picture and call it faith. Never more will you pray for an exception to law when the law is love itself. Stop. Let go. Release. Relax. Relax. Be still and know that God is God. Make it living, not theory. Let the heart say, and let the body follow into quiet. Father, forgive me for trying to use Thee. Reveal Thyself. Let Thy will be done in me. Use me. Govern me. Not my will, but Thy will be done. Here I am. This is the end of my outlining, the end of my demands, the end of the little king on a little throne. I yield. I yield now. I yield completely. This is the turn. It is not passivity. It is the highest activity. Removing the interference so that divine government may be felt and expressed. Surrender is not a collapse. Surrender is entrance into order. When the false center yields, the true activity begins. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. You do not go limp. You become available. You are not abandoned. You are governed. You will be moved to speak where speech heals, to be silent where silence is light, to make the call you had avoided, to return what was borrowed, to take the step you had feared, or to rest when resting is obedience. But the impulse will come out of peace, not panic. The government will be upon His shoulder, not on yours. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Repeat it until the inner clutch opens. Never more my will, thy will. Never more using God. Let God use me. Never more instructing the infinite. Let the infinite interpret itself in me. Let go. Release. Relax. Relax. Be still and know that I am God. Say it softly. Say it until the breath deepens and the shoulders lower and the jaw unhooks. Say it until the room grows larger and the sense of deadline dissolves. This is not technique. This is truth. God is already being God. You are not bringing God to you. You are bringing yourself to God by relinquishing the imposter that tried to run the show. And now, listen. Do not grab for results. Do not peep under the door to see if something is happening. Wait. My peace I give unto you. It is a gift, not a wage. If you have truly said, "Use me, govern me," then the first appearing of grace will be gentle and unmistakable. A quiet spreading through the chest, a release in the brow, a softening where the fear kept its office. No fireworks are needed. Peace is the evidence that the struggle has ceased and the law is present. In a few moments, we will speak of how to recognize and trust these beginnings of grace. For now, remain in the yielded word. Father, forgive me for trying to use Thee. Reveal Thyself. Let Thy will be done in me. Use me. Govern me. Stop. Relax. Be still. And let God be God. Now, how does grace appear? Not as a trumpet, not as a spectacle, but as a change in you that you do not engineer. The first sign is somatic, unmistakable. The shoulders drop of themselves. The breath comes easier without your managing it. The brow softens. The stomach unclenches. The jaw unhooks. The mind that had been rehearsing speeches and defenses forgets its script. The inner metronome that was counting minutes and measuring outcomes goes silent. A quiet spreads, gentle, unforced, not produced by a trick or a phrase. This is not your achievement. This is the gift. My peace I give unto you. Hear it as present tense, not promise, not wage, gift. Do you feel the difference? The body tells the truth. Struggle has ceased. Receptivity has begun. Do not run past this to inspect the outer scene. The first proof is not the external change. The first proof is the release itself. That peace is substance. That peace is law realized. That peace is God announcing, I am here as your sufficiency. Accept it as enough in this instant. Rest in it. Be still and know. If you turn the gift into a test, now let me see the payment, the answer, the reversal. You pick up the old tools and tighten again. Stop. Relax. Let peace have its full say. Let it permeate the room, the breath, the thought. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And liberty is first felt as ease before it is counted as outcome. And as the peace abides, you find that timing loses its tyranny. When you stop pushing, you stop measuring. You are released from the calendar worship, from the clock that once sat as a god on your desk. Take no thought for the morrow. Can you do that? Will you let this hour be governed without forecasting harm, without demanding a sign on your schedule? The law is in operation whether or not you stare at the hands of the clock. Trust it. Rest. Relax. Be still. Universalize it now so that your personal anxiety dissolves into the sea of truth. This presence is not your private visitor. It is the sun that shines on the just and on the unjust, for friends, for enemies, for saints, for sinners. There is no favoritism. There is no scarcity. You are not hoping to be chosen out of a line. You are consenting to what already is for all. Let your heart widen until it holds your adversary in the same peace you have received. Bless them. Include them. As you do, you will feel a larger freedom, because personal possession of grace is a contraction. Sharing it inwardly is expansion. Relax. Relax. Be still. Now listen, because you must learn to protect this release. The mind will try to reclaim the throne. It will rush in with a stopwatch, with a ledger, with a picture to polish. The body will signal you the moment that happens. A tiny tightening at the eyes, a shortening of breath, a flutter of urgency in the chest. That is your alarm. In our next step, I will give you a rule. Simple, absolute. The very instant you feel that tightening, stop. Do not proceed 1 inch in prayer or planning from strain. Withdraw the hand. Return to stillness. Let the peace you have recognized remain the governor, the atmosphere, the evidence. My peace I give unto you. Receive and keep receiving by refusing the old clutch. Stop. Relax. Be still. Let God be God. Now take the rule as law for your living. The very instant you feel yourself tightening, stop. Do not take one more step in prayer from that place. Do not push another affirmation. Do not reach for another verse. Do not add one more word to convince God. The minute the brow knits, the breath shortens, the chest hurries, you are in the arm of flesh. You have converted devotion into mental work. Stop. Relax. Be still. Withdraw the hand. Let the gear wind down. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. And Spirit never asks you to strain to find it. What then do you do? Nothing. Sit soft. Let the hands open. Let one long breath move through without managing it. Drop the phrases. Drop the pictures. Drop the timetable. If a single word rises, let it be Father, and then let silence complete the sentence. This is not a technique. This is refusal to make a technique of God. We reach God's presence by relaxing, not by climbing thought on thought. Be still and know that I am God. Know, not because you have recited 100 lines, but because you have ceased to clutch at one. Make this the way you walk through the day. Micro-surrenders. Before the meeting, stop at the doorframe. Use me. Then silence. Before you answer the message, lay the phone down for a breath. Govern me. Then silence. Before you spend, still the hand on the card. Thy will. Then silence. Before you react to the sharp word, let the tongue rest against the teeth. Peace. Then silence. 12 seconds can turn a day. 3 breaths can return a government. Can you consent to do nothing for 12 seconds? Will you let God be God in the very place your habit wants to perform? Feel the difference in the body, because the body will tell you the truth. Urgency is the sign you are leaning on human will. Pressure is proof you are serving the calendar as God. Tightness is alarm, not authority. When it sounds, you do not press harder, you yield sooner. Return to spirit by relaxing. Return to law by letting go. Put up thy sword, the sword of argument, the sword of self-defense, the sword of one more clever plan. Take no thought for the morrow in that moment. Take no thought for the outcome of this next sentence. Let peace come first as presence, not as payment. And understand why this rule frees you. Every time you stop from tightening, you dethrone the little sovereign that says, I, me, mine. The personal manager cannot maintain his office in stillness. He needs speed. He needs pressure. He needs an emergency. Deny him those conditions and he fades, and in his fading, liberty appears. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Begin to notice how the pauses fill with guidance that did not come from your outline, how answers arrive without a hunt, how corrections become simple, how saying less carries more light. This is not your cleverness. This is government. Keep it simple. Tighten, stop. Pressure, pause. Demand, drop. Then wait for peace to resume the lead. We will, in our next step, let the last of I, me, mine fall away, so that the personal struggler no longer hijacks your prayer. For now, obey the alarm. Stop. Relax. Be still. Let God be God. Now let the last claimant step down from the throne. The one who tightens most quickly, the one who argues hardest, the one who must be seen and must be safe and must be supplied. This is the little triad. I, me, mine. It remakes every scene into a courtroom for self-defense, a market for self-advantage, a stage for self-approval. It names every person ally or threat. It calls time an enemy, and outcomes a verdict on its worth. Do you see how fear multiplies wherever it sits? The more it grasps, the more it trembles. Because whatever is taken must be guarded. Whatever is displayed must be protected. Whatever is won must be defended. That is bondage. That is the arm of flesh. Search yourself gently. Am I trying to get something for me? Am I trying to win? Am I trying to be right? Am I insisting on being seen, being thanked, being vindicated? If so, I have left the center. I have moved out of law into personal litigation. Stop, return, loosen, relax, be still. Withdraw the case from your private court. Put up thy sword, the sword of self-justification, the sword of one last perfect explanation. Be still and know. Here is the liberating reframe. God is all-inclusive being. God is not outside to be fetched, not reluctant to be coaxed, not divided to be apportioned. In Him we live and move and have our being. We are not a private life trying to obtain life. Life is living us. We are not a private mind trying to capture truth. Truth illumines us. God is no respecter of persons, so liberty cannot be held as private property. As your sense of a separate owner softens, the presence that belongs to all is felt as sufficiency within you. It is not coming, it is here. Consent to it. Relax. Relax. And understand liberty as presence, not circumstance. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not when the job arrives, not when the apology is made, not when the number on the page increases. There is liberty in the moment you are no longer a gladiator in your own arena. The shoulders tell you first. The breath confesses it. The mind forgets to argue. You can sit in the same room with the same papers and the same faces and discover that the cage door was your own pronoun. As I, me, mine dissolves, space appears. Room for guidance, room for peace, room for wisdom that does not have to win to be true. Make the self-audit a practice. Before speech, ask, is this to be right or to be light? Before action, is this to get or to be governed? Before spending, is this to prove or to provide? If it is for me, stop. If it is for display, pause. If it is for victory, lay it down. Let the prayer shift from I need to thy will, from give me to use me, from make them to bless them. This is the decentering that releases you into liberty. The moment the personal struggler steps off the throne, order quietly takes the seat. Doors open or close without insult. Words rise or fall without fear. Timing ceases to tyrannize. Take no thought becomes possible because there is no private manager left to do the thinking for tomorrow. And then provision and guidance unfold as the natural climate of a decentered life. You will notice how answers meet you on the path you did not pave, how calls come at the hour you did not script, how a correction you once resisted becomes your peace. Seek first the kingdom, the presence, the law, the all-inclusiveness of God. And all these things are added, not as trophies for the self, but as the overflow of order. So let the pronouns fall like old armor. Stop. Relax. Be still. Yield the center, and watch liberty appear as the very air you now breathe. Let God be God. Now let this be lived, not admired. Take no thought is not neglect. It is the refusal to live in anxious prediction, rehearsal, and defense. You still keep the appointment. You still pay the bill. You still return the call. But you do not carry tomorrow on your back, and you do not pre-suffer what love has not asked you to endure. Consider the lilies. Give us this day our daily bread. Daily, this hour's grace, this hour's light. Stop, relax, be still. Let today be governed by the presence that is already here. Understand why anxiety returns. The mind wants the throne back. It whispers, be responsible, plan everything, rehearse every danger. It calls fear prudence and strain care. But you have learned the test. If it tightens you, it is not trust. It is disguised fear. If the body knots and the breath shortens, you are not planning. You are predicting harm and bowing to it. Withdraw the worship. Return to consent. Thy grace is sufficient. Thy will be done in me. Say it softly and wait. Let the shoulders answer by lowering. Let the chest answer by easing. Let peace, not adrenaline, become the motive power of your next step. Stack your warrants until the heart believes what the lips are saying. You are not abandoned. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. The presence goes before you to make the crooked straight. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. The kingdom is given, not earned. Fear not, little flock. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. The way opens as you walk, not as you worry. Manna falls for the day, not the decade, and it spoils if you hoard it in fear. Relax. Relax. Be still. Replace the old reflex with a single consent. When thought racing begins, do not improve the plan, end the governance. Whisper, "Thy grace is sufficient, thy will be done in me." Then be silent long enough to feel government return. From that peace, you may make a list, you may send a note, you may step out the door. But the government is upon His shoulder, not yours. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And liberty looks like an unhurried step that accomplishes without strain, a word that heals without force, a decision that stands without defense. Make this the rhythm of your day. Begin with consent. Punctuate with consent. End with consent. The point is not to get God to serve you, but to let your life become an avenue through which grace serves the world. Trust is surrender in motion. No anxious thought, only yielded availability. Use me. Govern me. Bless through me. As this posture settles, tomorrow ceases to loom. It arrives already held in order. Stop. Relax. Be still. Let divine government be the activity of your day, and you will find that care is lifted, even as your hands quietly do the work love has given you to do. We close with the simple reversal that makes your former aim unnecessary. You are not here to use God. You are here to let God use you. You are not here to manifest your outline. You are here to become transparency for grace. You are not here to push outcomes into place. You are here to be placed where love heals. End the bargaining. End the persuading. End the special pleading. God will not move out of its orbit. You must come into attunement. And when you do, the strain lifts, the pace slows, the room within you widens. Stop. Relax. Be still. Let God be God, and let your life be the place where grace appears. Make this your closing prayer, and let it become your opening prayer each day. Father, reveal thyself in me. Not my will, thy will. Use me. Govern me. Let me be an instrument of peace. Let me bless friend and enemy alike. Let me forgive as I have been forgiven. Let me walk as transparency to thy law. No outline, no demand, no private claim. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. I consent. I yield. I am available. Do not fear that you will lose anything by letting go. You will lose only the weight that never served you, the hurry, the dread, the bargaining, the little throne. What is right does not require your coercion. It unfolds under government. Fear not, little flock. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Daily bread is not withheld because you stop pestering. It is recognized because you stop panicking. The peace you feel first is not a consolation prize. It is the substance of sufficiency arriving before the form. Trust it. Let it lead. For the next days, keep it very simple. Spend quiet periods, morning and evening, without words, or with one word only. Father. Sit until the shoulders answer, until the breath deepens, until the jaw lets go. Through the day, obey the rule you have learned. The moment you tighten, Stop. Do not push prayer. Do not push planning. Stop. Relax. Be still. Let government return before the next step. And keep forgiveness as a constant clearing. Whenever a face appears in memory with a sting, bless it. Whenever a debt comes to mind, money, credit, courtesy, return it. Keep accounts short so the channel stays clear. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Practice it until the heart swings both ways without a catch. And now receive this commission, because it is already yours. Go as a quiet atmosphere of peace. As you relax, the air around your life changes. Impatience dissolves in your presence. Fear loses its tongue. The room of your mind becomes freer, and those who enter it find space to breathe. Do not boast of it. Do not manage it. Just be still enough to let it be. My peace I give unto you. Carry it without effort. Let it govern your step, your speech, your seeing. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Rest in that liberty. Rest in peace. Relax. Be still. Let God be God in you, and let your life be the place where grace appears.